Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video I'll be going over Fruity Reverb 2, and I'll be explaining how everything works and what all the dials and knobs and sliders do. So let's get right to it. First thing is this knob here. It says H cut. That stands for high cut, and it does exactly what it says it does. It cuts all the high frequencies. So I'll show you here. Switch over to my snare drum. So that's what it sounds like with the knob at where it starts. I'll turn it all the way down. That's it all the way closed, and that's it all the way open. So you can hear the difference there, and when you open it up all the way like that, it basically allows all the high frequencies. Then if you turn it all the way down like this, then it cuts out all the high frequencies. So you can kind of mess with that depending on the type of reverb that you're looking for. And then next is the low cut knob right below, and what that does is it cuts out all the low frequencies. And this was kind of confusing for me at first, because if I open it up all the way, that will cut out all the low frequencies if I open it up all the way. But if I turn it all the way down, then it allows all the low frequencies. And that was confusing for me, because the high cut, if you open that up all the way, then it allows all the high frequencies, and you close it all the way, then it cuts out all the high frequencies. So it's kind of good to mess with both of those and kind of get used to what they do. And next is the delay knob right here. That does exactly what it says it does. It determines the amount of delay between the input sound and the reverb. So that's at normal, and then you open it up. So it delays for, in the top left corner here, it actually tells you how many milliseconds it delays for. If you turn it up all the way, then it delays for 1,000 milliseconds. And if you have it all the way closed, then it doesn't delay at all. And there's this little button here that says tempo. If you turn that on, then what it does is it snaps the delay in sync with the tempo of the song, which can be quite useful if that's what you're looking for. Yeah, so instead of telling you the milliseconds that it delays for, it just gives you a number in the top left corner. If you have it all the way open, it's at 8, and then I guess all the way down to 0. Next, I'll be looking at this size knob here, and that determines the room size. So that makes your reverb sound like it's in either a smaller or larger room. Stock, it's sitting at 50, so that's a reasonable sounding room size. And if you have it all the way open, it sounds like you're in maybe a hall or maybe a small arena or something. If you close it all the way, then it sounds like you're in a very small room. And another way to affect room size is just to go on to the picture of the circle here and to just drag your mouse up or down. That works as well. And a quick tip for quickly setting things to the default, instead of right clicking and clicking reset, is just click the middle button on your mouse, or if you have a scroll wheel, then just click that and it'll reset the switch. And next we'll be looking at this diff knob here, which stands for diffusion or diffusion pattern. And what that basically means is how separated the reverberations will be. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but if you have headphones on, you'll probably be able to hear that. You can hear the echoes a lot more clearly than like that. I guess it basically is how many walls the sound has to bounce off of. So that's, I guess, how many times the sound will echo in that specific room. You can really understand what it means if you experiment with it a little bit yourself. But if you can hear this, then I'll play 3 different sizes here. So next we'll be talking about this mod depth knob here, and I don't know what it does technically, but I know that if you turn it up all the way, it kind of changes the pitch of the reverb. So if you open it up all the way, then it seems to make the reverb sound a little more lower pitched. And the mod speed knob right underneath the mod knob, it sort of changes how quickly the reverb pitches down after you play the sound. So if you turn up speed all the way, then the pitch of the reverb will go lower quicker than if you have it all the way closed. Alright, so next is the decay, and that's an extremely important setting, and that determines how quickly the reverb will stop, and so basically how long the reverb sound is. So I'll open it up all the way. So open it up all the way, the reverb sound goes for 20 seconds, and if you close it down all the way, then it's 0.1 seconds, and then everywhere in between. And this damp knob here is for high damping, and essentially what that does is it's quite similar to the high cut knob. It just cuts out high frequencies. It just does it slightly differently than the high cut knob does, and it often goes together with the high cut knob very well if you find the right balance between the two to cut out certain frequencies. It's largely a matter of just experimenting and seeing what sounds good to you. And this cross knob here is for crossover. So what that basically does is it determines which frequencies are affected by this bass knob here. So that's also a matter of experimenting and finding a balance between the two that sounds good to you. Alright, and this knob underneath the sliders here, it says SEP, and it has 2 speakers on either side. That is for stereo separation, and it's only for stereo separation of the reverb effect. So if you turn it all the way to the right, that'll make the reverb sound be a mono sound, and if you turn all the way to the left, it will separate the reverb as much as possible. And separating the reverb as much as you can is a very effective way of making the reverb sound like it's larger or in a bigger room. So that's something you can experiment with to see what sounds good to you. And so for these sliders here, the first slider is dry, and that determines the input signal volume. So at default it's at 100, and the wet slider on the right side, it determines the output volume that the processed signal will be at. And finally, the mid side switch here, I believe a lot of people don't know exactly what that switch does, but basically what it does is it determines whether the mid information or the side information of the input signal gets processed. And if you choose side, the input has to have stereo info or it won't have any effect at all. So I'll have it on mid here and still has reverb, and now on side, now it just has no reverb whatsoever. So it has to have a stereo signal that's going in for it to work. So I'll show you with this piano. So I don't know exactly what it technically does, but from what I understand, if you have it on mid, it basically will reverb the middle part of the signal here, and if you have it on side, then it will reverb the sides of the signal, this part here and the top part here. And I'm not sure if you can hear it with the piano, but I'll play it with the mid and then I'll switch to side. So this is mid, side. So the side basically sounds a little more higher pitched and like it has slightly more higher frequencies. Alright, so now I'll talk a little bit about how and when to use what types of reverb for different situations. So when using reverb, there are basically no rules. Just like music in general, there's no rules for it. It's just whatever sounds good to you. But there are some general guidelines that will help to make generally good music, and same goes for reverb. So you can have either very long reverbs or very short and punchy reverbs, or you can have very bassy reverbs or higher pitched sounding reverbs. But one thing in general that's very good to know is that you don't want to have tons of instruments that all have reverb with a whole lot of bass, because the bass frequencies can stack on top of one another and end up making it sound very messy and very sloppy. So definitely good to practice cutting out a lot of the low end frequencies just to make sure that everything sounds nice and clean. And when trying to determine your decay time and room size, it's good to kind of listen to your track and close your eyes and just imagine what type of room you imagine your track being played in, and to try to apply a reverb that will represent that room well. So like if you're imagining it's in a large arena or something of that sort, then you'll want to have a larger room size and maybe a slightly longer decay time. And if you are imagining it's in a very small room, or you're reverbing a snare in a smaller room or something, then you'll want to shorten your decay time and make your room size slightly smaller. But largely it's all about experimenting, trying things out, and listening carefully and making adjustments when needed. So the best way to learn is through experience, and just go ahead and test things out and figure out what sounds good to you. So that's it for this video. Hope this video is helpful. Definitely leave a like if it was helpful to you, and to get more videos like this, then make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell. And also, if you guys are interested in learning music theory, make sure to click the link in my description to get access to a full music theory for producers course. It'll only be $5 a month, and it's definitely worth it for what you all get. And it's specifically designed for producers, as in it'll teach you the core basics of music theory and everything you need to know regarding music theory without making you memorize all the notes in scales and chords, but instead it'll teach you a way of building those chords and scales by only remembering certain principles and understanding how to apply that to your music. So definitely go check that out. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.